watching Simply Cooking with Shawn. If you're new here and you love food related content, you're in the right place. So like, share, and subscribe. And when you do, click that notification bell so you're notified every time I post a new video. In today's video, I will be preparing stuffed salmon. The ingredients for today's recipe are fresh salmon, fresh lemon, fresh spinach, crab meat, clarified butter, cream cheese, Creole seasoning, and garlic butter. Come along and I'll show you how I get this done. I am using salmon with the skin on. However, feel free to use skinless salmon if you so desire. So the first thing that I am going to do is to use my fish scaler gadget to remove the scale from the skin of the fish. And if you don't have a gadget such as this, feel free to use a knife. It does the job as well. And once you've scaled your fish, just rinse it under some cold water. After you've rinsed it, just take some paper towels and just pat them dry. And so what I'll do now is I'll just take my Creole seasoning and then the garlic butter. I'm going to sprinkle just a little bit of that. And then I'm going to flip it over. And then I'm just going to take my knife and just slit it down the middle, but not all the way through, okay? Just want to make a little pocket just to put the stuffing in. So you can go all the way down to the skin if you're using skin on salmon, but not through the skin and not all the way to both ends. So just leave a little space at the tip and at the bottom. I'm gonna do the same thing with this side. I'm gonna sprinkle some of the same seasonings on the top. All right, the next step is to get the spinach rinsed off. And I'm just going to spin the excess water out of the spinach. Next, I'm gonna just put it on my cutting board here. So you're just gonna give it a rough chop just to kind of break it down a little bit. Next, I'm gonna turn my skillet on about a medium heat. I'm gonna add a little olive oil to the pan. Let that heat up. And once your pan heats up, add the spinach. And I'm just gonna let that cook until it wilts down. And I'm gonna add a little garlic powder and onion powder to the spinach. And as you can see, it's shrunk down to less than half of what I put in the pan. Pretty much it. So I'm gonna turn the fire off here. So what I have in the bowl here is about 2 ounces of cream cheese. And this is softened. I put it in the microwave for a few seconds just to get it softened up. And the cream cheese is for a binder, okay? And then I have my crab meat. Now you can use lump crab if you so desire. Lump crab is a little bit pricey, however. This is the meat from the claw of the crab. I have in my bowl here about 8 ounces of crab meat. To that, I'm going to add just a little bit of the Creole seasoning. Then I'm going to put my spinach in there. And then I'm going to add the juice from half a lemon. Okay? So now I'm just going to take my fork and just get that all incorporated together. And if you want to, you can taste this before you stuff your salmon and add your seasonings according to your taste. That's what it looks like once you've got it all incorporated. So now I take my salmon that I've already seasoned. I'm going to take half of it and just form it up. You don't have to be fancy with it at all. Just open up your fish and just place it right on top. Kind of fit it down into the little cuts that you've made. And I'm going to do the same thing for the remaining one. As you can see, I didn't add any breadcrumbs or any breaded fillers. It's not necessary to do that when you're using the cream cheese, okay? And that's how it looks once I've got it all put together. I'm going to add some clarified butter to my cast iron skillet. And if you don't have clarified butter, you can use olive oil, but the clarified butter has a higher smoke point than the olive oil. And then I'm just going to take my salmon and add it to the skillet. And I'm going to let that cook on a medium-high heat. I want to get a little sear on the skin. All right, that's been going a couple minutes here on my stove top. I'm going to now put it into the oven to finish up. Okay, it's been about 10 minutes since the salmon has been in the oven. I'm going to check on it. And it's coming along pretty good. Going to give it a little touch. And I think it's pretty much done. But I am going to put it back in and turn the broiler on just to get a little more browning on the stuffing. This is what it looks like after being in the oven at 375 degrees for about 10 minutes and under the broiler on high for about 4 to 5 minutes. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to squeeze the other half of the fresh lemon right over the top. This is what we have. Stuffed salmon. This is an easy recipe to prepare. I will leave a list of the ingredients in the description box below. It pairs well with many vegetables, whether it be mashed potatoes or roasted asparagus, as I've prepared to accompany my stuffed salmon. If you haven't done so already, like, share, comment, and subscribe. That concludes today's video. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, be blessed.